Here we are, we're back for the RANT first show of the year. We're as flat as tack, so bear with us.
Well, start.
It's a great way to start the new year, of course. Warwick Farm Saturday, Glenn. You could have owned it.
I could have owned it, and I owe because of it. Yeah, I had a tough day, Mark.
I think what you want there is you want Warwick Farm to be drier than that, so the fields hang together better. Because what you need is fields of 12, not fields of 6.
We had a lot of small fields. We've had a lot of small fields lately, guys. We've had so much racing everywhere. You know, you get to Newcastle and they'll have a meeting at Port Macquarie on the same day. And it's all in the same region. And
yeah.
Well, times.
Okay, but there's too much product. But we've just got to live with that. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
We're back with the planes in case you've missed us.
We just had the
Look,
there
were a couple of feature rides on the card. Glyn rode 2 beautiful races, lost on twist tops, but absolutely demolished them in the feature on Del Cielo. Good Glyn.
No better rider than Good Glyn. Good Glyn's the best rider in Australia.
We saw Hippo take charge of 2 1400 metre races, one from the front and one making sure that barrier 1 dug up so that him in barrier 2 wasn't on the inside.
How did he do that to me with King Darcy? I'll never know. Fucking Hippo. Honestly, I find these riders and never make a cent out of them, and just does it every year. How good's he riding, and how much opportunity he's not getting is unbelievable. He just, if he's on 4 good chances a day, he'll ride 2 winners. He belies the SP.
All right, but the other thing he did was he won on a horse that sat OSL, and let me read out for you the other horses that sat OSL on the program.
Go.
Single Bullet.
Beaten.
Redouble.
Smashed.
Heartlings.
Just smashed.
Farah.
Fair enough.
First beaten. Girl Sunday.
Only beaten 463 lengths.
Rock My Lady.
Wow. Distance.
Right? Oxford Poet, who was very strongly fancied and ran quite well.
Not in any of my numbers. Was not terribly unfit, but it was nowhere near his top.
Eminent Duke, which finished midfield, actually ran okay, and King Darcy, who ran away from them. Now,
So
there is one point to be made about that, is he did sit outside a horse that ran last.
And that horse
So he sort of got the slingshot. He got the slingshot.
Yeah.
And maybe he forgot about the fact that he'd done a little bit of work. Anyway,
maybe that was the weakest piss race.
The subset
was better than him.
The subset of those horses that got put in that awkward position, particularly the Girl Sunday Rock My Lady, who were just put out of play before you'd just love to have been laying there.
Girl Sunday, wow. I mean, I know Deanie on Bjorn's was kicked up underneath it, but it just never gave a yelp, mate.
So you're saying Single Bullet's run was better than it looked?
Well, that's a very low race, Single Bullet, and he emanates from that race as a $1.60 beaten horse. So I mean,
certainly a horse to follow on a dry track.
Yeah, it's one of those horses that you just love to find as a 10-to-1 chance in a race.
That's right.
You just be going, oh, this is a deadly horse.
It's a tricky price for Gary Patelli too. I'm sure he's not comfortable having $1.60 chances in races.
He's had a lot of them lately, hasn't he?
Well, he's had a 2-year-old crop that are going particularly well. Anyway, that race 1 is just to be binned, and as I say, Single Bullet in a race where he can sort of lurk and stalk, certainly potent. Race 2, Hippo has just owned the race on a fit horse.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of horses very early in their campaign, particularly First Approval, who's trying to do it from gate 1.
Yeah.
And Redouble, who's second up.
Yep.
And they were put to the sword.
We had 2 horses on the market there in France and Redouble, and punters. They're both by Redoubt's choice. Great side. But I really got reservations about it in heavy tracks. They just don't. They're big animals. They seem to get stuck into the track and they don't participate.
I think
they struggle.
First Approval up in distance might do something.
Yeah, he's got a bit more of a platform now. He'll be third up. He's the stable have indicated that I've got an opinion of him by, he was confidently supported.
It was
before the barrier 1 was
first race. We saw Chris Waller runners, and they managed to run the Quinella in the rearward position, 7th and 8th.
Yeah, and then
Chris' stable continues to struggle, and it all emanates. This pattern's happened ever since this inquiry, this ICE inquiry.
Yep.
I've heard Chinese whispers that the stewards went round and looked at everything and checked where every camera should be and made sure that every camera in all the different barns was active and working. So now we have a stable with no camera, with a stack of cameras, and at the same time all the horses are losing their form. What does that tell us?
So do we back none of them?
Well, I don't know what we do. I mean, one came out later on one. What was it called? Cortham's Power. But like, they're just not racing how they used to. You've got to be against them.
See, I think you can still go with him on sort of non-Saturdays, maybe. Because his horses are that good that they can overcome slightly being off at the provincials.
All right,
or
but they're
maybe
just
a
not on
Wednesday,
song.
But they're not.
But why aren't they on song?
Well-
why is it hand in hand with the inquiry?
I don't know. They're missing some toughness.
Yeah, they're missing something, all right, for sure. But why can't we, like... They're missing the drive to win. But why? Why is it, like, why do the stewards open an inquiry, stick cameras in everywhere, improve security, and next thing, the people that pay for it are the poor punters?
So what are we saying about Cortham's Power then? That just won a race by default.
I'd say it's a default race. Beat Olympic Academy.
Yeah.
Kingsguard hasn't gone, Winetails hasn't gone, Rock My Lady, there it is. It's a 5-horse race. Is it just the anomaly?
Yeah.
You got to remember that it's actually it had a platform. Like it trialled in the second fastest 10:30, but a 10:30 that would win a race anywhere. There was Dothraki and Straturbo. They trialled that day. They were dead set full on races. And Cortham's Power's trialled in that. And then you come to Invincible, who's run around in a 900 in 56.2. That's not even track gallop.
Can we get some of these horses that, like, he's got a stack of horses? Can we get blood samples of these horses and check them with blood samples from 6 months ago? I mean, Sellerman, they must have Sellerman's blood on file somewhere.
But what they're doing, Glenn, is they're very similar to the gay orgy time. It's like the stable is in...
I'm sure Chris just works 365
days
days
a
a
year.
year.
Well, he has been away.
I don't know. All I know is that this. Horse tests positive to ice. They check everything. As usual, he gets a $30,000 fine, so they fine him half a week's wages. And now they've improved security wear, cameras. He can't walk a horse around anywhere or do anything with a horse except train it. And now none of them can go. They're racing with flat tyres.
Yeah.
How does that look?
It looks like...
It looks ordinary.
It looks exactly as you
Now,
painted.
as punters, and that's what this show's always been about, being the punter show, and all we care about as punters, even though I'm not allowed to say that, we need to be wary of Waller's stable because it has a lot of runners in a lot of races at short SPs. And punters are doing their money cold.
What it's about is making money out of this situation.
That's exactly right.
We've been off them for a couple of weeks now, and it's been a nice little advantage as far as the
It has
percentage
been
of the
a
market.
nice earn.
And I say we keep on going until
Something
the
happens.
market overreacts and we start to spot that the stable's coming back, and then we'll get value about Waller horses.
If you're working the
you know?
stable and you can tell us when the cameras are switched off again, please let us know here at the show because...
Invincible coming last. It's just
Like, for fuck's
what
sake.
it did last prep, you know, like it's just...
Well, it came last.
But not just last, it was unwanted, right?
Yeah.
And there's Harlem Lady who's unwanted, and I know she got a bit of a spurt on at the end, but
But she wasn't...
she was never in the race.
I got 2,000 out of her at 3:05 early on the fair, just going, Chris is poo-poo here, this is going to blow, blah, blah, blah.
Well,
and then it's
not only Poo Poo Chris, but El Megorian Poo Poo Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like triple...
Bowman to Megorian as well.
Great punting, eh?
It's easy after
great
the
stuff.
event.
It's great stuff.
I lost.
Anyway, that mare's race is complete rubbish. The times were diabolical. The highway was a 2-horse race, I suppose.
As it turned out.
But I mean, it wasn't bet that way. Like there was
It's one of the few
sport
winners
elsewhere.
I just thought was a good thing on the day, Chosen Prayer.
That was a great thing, and I can't believe it blew late.
Well,
360 it was.
420 there was at the end.
but
Was
the,
it really?
Yeah.
the
Fair?
one,
Yeah,
one
fair.
two had Betfairitis.
But one did late. Little Yaznat.
I thought that was a good run by Yazna. That's going to win some races. First up on a sort of wettish track, I thought it did reasonably well.
And then we had the betting duel between Imposing Lass and Girl Sunday and
In the big
And-
4-horse race there for a benchmark 92 horses. Well done Racing New South Wales. This extra money is really helping with field size.
Did the race caller mention about the outsider in the small field?
Oh, they say it all the time. Are you getting a bit sick of him saying it?
Yes.
Because also, no, you just don't want to jump on board. You go, oh, they've all got to start getting beat soon.
And then-
They do win a lot of races.
and then the outsider in the small field in the next race looked the winner.
Olympics Academy.
Bigger load of crookie, gave you a thrill. Kingsguard paraded poorly, Glenn, is that correct?
Yeah.
But he paraded poorly on the Wednesday, I believe.
He's getting
Before he
worse.
won.
Getting worse. When
Okay.
these days get hotter and a horse parades poorly and it loses a bit of condition, it's hard to get that condition back into an animal because you think about it, is it easier for you to eat in winter or summer?
Winter.
It's It's warm. You're losing condition. You've got to. The only way you get condition into a horse is feed, and then you've got to balance that with. They've got to work, because if you're feeding them, they've got to work. But if they're not eating and you're still working them, they're losing another 5 kilos, another 5 kilos. It's warm. Leave me out of old King's Guard. Finish this time in.
Yeah.
And then we saw a horse go like a freaking rocket. Del Chilo, didn't he? That's his first city run for Chris Lees. He was trained by Murray Baker. Came over for Caulfield Guineas. Came over for Randwick Guineas. And now we've seen him at 1,000 metres, and we go, wow, he's a pocket rocket.
He is a pocket rocket. He completely dominated that race. We saw Good Glenn at his very, very best. Great to see Good Glenn. And
It was a good tip by you too, Glenn.
Harara.
Well, that's an outstanding tip. Best roughie of the day said GP NYM. Harara.
And you would have got the chocolate except for one horse just flew. You know, but then that's...
I would have been a rich man.
Mr.
Oxford Poet finished third there, did I? I didn't even notice that.
Oxford Poet. Oxford
that's not
Poet
good.
was very, very strongly fancied, and I missed the fact that he was primed for that race. I just thought, 1,000 metres, he's out of his comfort zone. He was out of his comfort zone, but he was, like, in the context of that field, a good horse who was almost set for the race.
I didn't even realise he ran a place. I haven't done the tape yet, so I'm still getting over how poorly Mr. Manhattan went. Rated great, looked great. Never ever looked like him.
He's a slightly hollow horse. You know, he's a bit of a chinky. I was very strongly in his camp, and he disappointed me. But his record is he's a little bit of a B grader.
Was Del Chilo gelded?
But before Musselbrook,
Yeah.
maybe.
God. And then we run into the second last, good old honest Kadiro.
Well,
You grabbed the race by the balls.
What I say that? I suppose.
I've tipped a lot.
That's the reverse pearl there, coming off, Kadiro.
What's the reverse ball?
Well, it's been winning all its races up in Brizzy. Yeah.
It's had 3 runs back in Sydney
Yeah.
to bring it, and that's as soon as you see Warwick Farm or Canterbury on a Saturday, you know that the races they're just a nick below a Saturday race. They give opportunity to horses like that to actually win their Saturday races. Is there anything? There's nothing to say.
Ziggy he's doing a good job and racing very well. And Volo was buried there in barrier 1, and I thought went better than you would have thought. And Ice Rich again, parading well. Geez, racing well. Nice.
He was buried as well.
Invincible. And he got beaten 11.2 lengths. Huey, Chris. Opened up at $5.50 out to $10.
And then as I say, I thought the run of the day was King Darcy in the last, and good old Zon Konig. That is exactly Zon Konig, isn't it? That there he is, perfectly suited. He tracks up 3 wide on the back of the winner, on the point of the turn.
At the 300, he looked like he was just going to go whoosh cut.
Yeah. But
Nothing there.
we've seen him before. He's got nothing there.
Nothing there.
He might get away with a race, but Jesus, you'll be behind.
Another unplaced favourite there in Hoggermoney, who's been absolutely flying, but cameras are installed, form goes out the window.
Is that the end of part 1?
That's the end of part 1.
Not much to take out of Warwick Farm, I'd say. Ignore that form.